everyone, and welcome back to Hands On, which is the podcast for Tri-County Technical Center. I'm your host, Owen Snow, and today we have a guest with us. His name's Mr. Scott Wilhite, Sr. He teaches the Computer-Aided Design program. Are you having a good day so far?
Yeah, having a great day. How about you?
Oh, I've been having a good day too. I mean, it's been productive, so especially for a Monday, that's kind of hard. So
sometimes it's hard to jump back into it, huh?
Yeah. The weekend. I had a good weekend. Yeah, true.
Good.
So, I wanted to ask you. So, what is your program about? What's computer-aided design?
So, computer-aided drafting and design. We've taken probably the best way I could describe my program, Owen, in a way where people might be familiar with, let's call it the old school drafting. It is this, that we're taking what used to be done all in scale, because just to put together an example, it's pretty much going to be, it's improbable, if not impossible, to take and draw a floor plan for a building that is 450 feet long by 220 feet wide. You're just not going to have paper that large, so you're going to have to scale it down. The beauty and the strength of computer-aided drafting and design is that we can take what used to be in the old school drafting, we can take and bring that into this modern vocation of computer-aided drafting and design, and build those projects, whether it's a floor plan or whatever we're building. We can build them in real time, real size, so that there's no scaling involved. In other words, we take the scaling completely out of the equation, and we build that, whatever it is. And let's just stick with the example of a building. We can build that building virtually inside our computers, where it would exist in real size. And that gives us the ability to be super extremely accurate in our design. And that is something that the world, that's the way we do things today in the world. That's the way the world's building skyscrapers. That's the way the world are building aviation and ships and whatever is in real size. We're not. We've stepped away from the days of taking this grandiose structure, scaling it down so we can draft it all out on paper by hand, and then just to have it end up in blueprints out onto the job site, and then having the craftsman then scale it back up into real size using the materials that the engineer is requiring them, based on environment and workload and things that have to come into the equation as well. So that's really, I know that's a long, probably convoluted description, but it's taking something that we've used and built many things in this world the old way. It's taking and bringing them into the modern world using the technology available to us. And so it's important for our students to be familiar with what the industry is using today. Mm-hmm. So that's where the computer-aided drafting and design comes in.
Wow, I mean, you just threw a lot at me, but I mean, yeah, we're used to just drawing out stuff, and now you can actually do stuff on computers.
Sure.
And then, bring that into whatever you're making. What else do you guys do in the program besides that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it gives me a lot of opportunity to bring in some other technology, this computer-aided drafting design, and it's a / engineering class, right? So we take and we examine design, and we essentially, my students are taught to through the skill set of analytical thinking, critical thinking. We're going to examine and evaluate maybe a design for something that has a deficiency. There's room for improvement and things like that. And I think it's important, again, to equip my students to use the technology available to them, because when they step out of my classroom and into the real world, those are the tools that their employers are going to want them to be proficient in. So probably the most valuable tool, I think, is something that my students come into my class, I think for the most part, they come into the class thinking of it as kind of a toy, and that's a 3D printer, Owen. I think 3D printers are really posed to become a major part of your generation. I think that very much like in my generation, just sharing this example this morning with a tour that come through, my generation, it was PCs. I remember in the 7th grade, Mr. Brower down here to the elementary school got the first TRS-80 back then. It's and I, admittedly, kind of laughed at the idea that he was trying to sell us, that everybody's going to have one of these in their home in the future. And I look at that and I'm like, for what? But the truth is, well, I mean, here we are, right? We all have computers, right?
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, our phones, our watches, PCs, laptops, just everything's computerized.
We are stuck on the screens nowadays.
Course. Yeah.
And I don't know why it's been like that, but it just kind of happened,
Yeah, well, I mean, because I think people recognize that there's a need. And so technology, I mean, if there was no need, that it just would have went away. I mean, if we could just boil it down to the lowest common denominator there, right? But there was a need, and I think 3D printing is trending the same path. I already see it, actually, and my students realize that what a powerful tool it is to be able to take an idea. And here's one of the reasons I didn't want to ever teach computer-aided drafting, right? Is back when I took it in high school, I got a math credit for it, and I didn't really need the math credit, but I took it as an elective, basically. And what I found out very quickly is that everything that I did in the computer lab in AutoCAD, of course, that program was just coming out then. It stayed in the computer. I really could never do anything with it. Once in a while, we were allowed to print it out on paper to make, prints out of something or whatever. But to me, it was a bit anticlimactic, right? What I've been able to do because of this technology we have available to us with 3D printing is I've been able to challenge my students to take those ideas, get them into the computer and manipulate them and test them and evaluate them. And then when they think they're at that prototype level, then I can teach them this other discipline that we name as, or we've coined it as rapid prototyping, right? We'll take that idea and we'll put it out there in a low quality print just to get the physical solid idea in the hands of my students. And then we can further test it, further evaluate it, further, bring innovation in there. How can we make this better and whatever?
Yeah, I remember back in middle school, I had to take IT classes, so I was brought up with 3D printers, and then high school, they've just gotten more and more better as, the years have come along. I remember there was like these big red 3D printers, and like there was like a green space, and then you would put this like any colored filling in it, and you would go to Tinkercad and you would, make something. I remember that's all I really remember from IT in middle school.
Sure. Yeah.
And haven't really done much since, but that's what I remember so far.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the experience that a lot of my students bring with them, Owen. Pretty much that right there.
Yeah.
They've been exposed to Tinkercad. Which is unfortunate in a way because they always bring this idea that Tinkercad is, this elementary type. But in truth,
it's actually pretty powerful.
It is very powerful. Yeah, because what we're talking about here is parametric solid modeling.
Yeah, you can do anything with Tinkercad. You can the dimensions X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, we've been talking a lot about the program. Let's move on. So, how long have you been teaching CAD?
So again, like I mentioned, I never set out to teach CAD, but I worked at one of our sending school districts. Back in 2016, I made a career change. Went back to school and was headed in a whole complete different direction. But sometimes when there's a need, different doors open up and whatever. And so in 2017, they needed an instructor to teach CAD. And I had CAD in my background. I've had some great jobs and excellent. I've worked for some very good employers, and I was able to bring that experience into the education realm, so to speak, and go ahead and use that as a foundation to build a program to teach CAD. And again, like I said, my concern was that my students were going to be bored, with it. But I'm very thankful for the technology of 3D printing because that allowed my program to be dynamic in nature. Yeah.
Have you liked teaching CAD so far in the few years you've been here?
Well, let me just put it to you this way. I don't know what's in the future, but I will eventually I'll eventually move on. But I'm going to tell you, it's going to be hard to step away from the students, this school, and this program. This has been a great experience, not just for students that come and are leaving here equipped and have the opportunity to plug into the workforce, or go step into opportunities to go to school to further their education on a post-secondary level. But it's also been a blessing for me, Owen. I'm going to have a hard time stepping away, and it just keeps getting better. So the answer to that question is I really have fallen in love with teaching CAD, which is kind of ironic.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very awesome. It's pretty great that you've come to love doing the job and that you applied for the job and you got it, and you thankful for that?
Yeah.
That's good. Well, I want to say thank you for coming out and doing the interview with us.
Sure.
I know you're probably busy, so I didn't want to take up a whole lot of your time, but...
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to just share what some of the great things that are happening in the school are. So thank you.
Welcome back, as we have another guest with us, Cadence Batchelder, who is a student at Computer-Aiden Drafting and Design. Have you had a good year?
I have had a fantastic year. I've had a lot of really good opportunities.
Why did you decide to take the CAD program?
A few years ago, I was kind of really lost on where I wanted to go in life and what I wanted to do. So I was talking to a teacher, and I had a lot of interest in interior design at the time, and I had no clue where to go with that. I knew about Tri-County beforehand, but I had no clue that it would actually offer me something that would be something that I really love. And I got introduced to CAD. And since day one, it's just made so much sense.
What do you think your favorite thing has been about CAD so far?
My favorite thing about CAD, even though it's not a huge main focus in our program, is 3D printing, probably. We've had a lot of really cool projects. It's a really great creative outlet. We've done a lot of really cool things with 3D printing.
Why do you think you like 3D printing the most? What are the details? Like, what does it entail?
We do a lot. We can, first of all, our 3D printers are open source, so if anything happens to our 3D printers, it leaves opportunity to learn how to fix them and put them together and stuff like that. But we learn how to set up the models beforehand, set up the 3D printers, change filament, level the beds, and all that stuff.
What kind of project have you made with 3D printing?
I've made a crock out of a flexible filament that I found.
Wow.
I've made a 4.5-foot long collapsible sword. I've made many fidget toys, many sculptures, many random figurines, lots of stuff.
Now the crock, that must have taken a very long time to make.
Yeah, it actually took me like 3.5 days.
That's crazy. Like, are you able to like wear it on a daily basis? Is it like usable for like?
I haven't worn it like around, but for the most part, it's a fully functional shoe that fits.
Fully functional.
Yep, you can wear it, and it won't get like. It's not going to get ruined if you wear it out in the rain or anything like that because it's plastic. But it fits on my foot. It's a fully functional shoe. You can wear it.
Have you only made one, or have you made a full pair?
I only made one because my prototype that I ended up making had a few tweaks in it that I needed to adjust, that just so it would fit my foot better. So I have tweaked that a little bit, but I need to print the full set now.
Well, I think that's really cool that you've been able to make all these cool 3D printers. I mean, I couldn't never do that in my.
It's a really great opportunity. We have a lot of really cool things to do in CAD.
Anything else you've liked about the program so far?
We have, one thing about Tri-County that's amazing in all programs is that you can get, certifications for free, for nothing. So that's been a great opportunity. I've gotten, I'm going to be dual certified next year. I got a certification in AutoCAD, and I've had multiple job shadows so far. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you plan on doing after high school?
I plan on going into interior design or architecture. That's my main goal. I don't know if I'm going to college. I've been looking at Southern Maine Community College for one, but I might also just go into the workforce.
Anything about interior design that intrigues you the most?
I'm not sure. I always grew up around like my dad building things around me, and everybody around me always just has worked in construction. So I've seen like a lot of houses change, a lot of houses literally be built from the ground up. So it's kind of cool to see the entire process, but also just the aesthetic part, like aspect of it.
Seems like you're really interested in this CAD and interior design and all that.
Yeah, CAD it's a really interesting program.
Really interesting, I bet. So how is Tri-County or TCTC different than like sitting in a regular high school classroom?
Well, for starters, you get to see, one thing that I noticed immediately is that you get to stick with your people all day. Like you stay with your teacher and your classmates, and you're with them all day. So by the end of the year, like you're like a little family. It's a lot different than normal school, because obviously at normal school you're just switching a lot, and you don't often get to like actually talk to your peers. You're always with your peers. It's very important to talk to your peers. Another thing is it's very non-traditional classroom setting. It's very hands-on learning. Like you don't sit down and learn about one thing for more than probably an hour and a half at a time.
Anything else that you think is different? You think like the environment, or do you think like, I don't know, just the overall place?
I think definitely the environment is a lot different here. I think how the teachers treat their students and how everybody just feels when they're here is a lot different than normal school.
Yeah, and I mean for a regular classroom too, you're probably you're bored all the time. You don't want to be there.
Yeah, Tri-County is a very special place because you can go there to do exactly what you want to do, and everybody's here to help you.
Exactly. I mean, was CAD your first choice?
It was my first choice, yeah.
I'd imagine. I mean, and you were lucky enough to actually get it.
Yeah, we had 2 slots. We have 2 slots from Nokomis.
Do you plan on going back next year?
Yeah, I plan on going back next year. I have a bunch of things set up, so I'll be getting my second certification next year in a different CAD program, and hopefully I'll be an intern somewhere next year.
Anything else you think you'll do in your second year?
I'm hoping I'll get a job.
A job, yes. A job would be nice.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be really good.